zip lines, more information on backpacks, and the pros and cons for the anti-cheat coming to Rust console. These are the three main components that we're going to be talking about in today's video via Pedro Silva on Twitter. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The question one that I've supplied Pedro here is, has there been any talks of zip lines being worked on? Zip lines, if you don't know, is a really fun transportation method that you can go around the map, and it's not obviously everywhere you have zip lines. There are just certain places you have them. I personally, even though I've got PC Rust, haven't tried them out, but it looks as if a lot of people are now asking for this to come to Rust console. Pedro replied saying, we did have some chats internally, but they are not planned yet. Maybe we will see them in the future, but we have other priorities at the moment. And if you're not aware of the priorities that Double 11 have and the list that they have for Rust console and what updates they want to put up, then be sure to go check out my other video. I asked that very question and I got an answer of about 3 things that are, of most important in terms of priority, so you kind of gauge where they're going to be going next when it comes to secret update and updates in the future. Second question, I said backpacks, as we discussed, was something a lot of people wanted. How much of a task would it be to implement them into the game? Because when you think of updates coming to Rust console, or specifically monuments, yeah, that's somewhat of a task even though they're just porting them, but how much of a task would it be to just implement backpacks and how they work within the game? Pedro said, I would need to ask the team how much work it is to port them over, but that feedback was passed to the team soon after backpacks were released on PC. That's good to hear. I got a lot of requests for it, and the team knows that players would like to have them. So I'm pretty sure backpacks are on the horizon when it comes to coming into Rust console. They're not the hardest to implement within the game, especially port from PC, and a lot of players are wanting them. So it's kind of like a win-win situation in my opinion, because it's not a huge task for Double 11 to kind of make, but they can still implement it into the game via it being a popular discussion amongst the community. Third and final question is this. With this anti-cheat and the way you want it to work so it doesn't allow them to make alt accounts, has the team thought about how many players it would lose? I've come into contact with a lot of players who are cheating, both who have admitted it to me and who show it off on TikTok. Whilst it's for the greater good to get rid of cheaters, are Double 11's concerned of how many players they would lose who buy skins, etc. So we're going to talk about this heavily because this is something I have a huge opinion on, but we're going to get to Pedro's answer first. Pedro said, not much I can share here, I'm afraid, as we are still in the phase of testing. What I can say is that Rust is somewhat of a competitive game, and it's important that for us players have a level playing field. To be honest, the number of players using cheating devices is very small compared to the rest of the community, and there's a lot of fake reports as well. It's true that you don't need many to ruin the experience. We want to fix that no matter how small the number is. In the future, we have different methods other than permanent banning players. As the community manager, I want everyone to be able to enjoy Rust Console Edition as much as possible, and I will always prioritize corrective actions instead of permanent ones. Well, if you're doing that, start with me. Because getting banned for a joke, albeit I had a bit of a following at the time, I think 9,000 followers on TikTok, but making a joke out of Zim and getting banned for it amongst the players that actually play that on that device was a bit of a joke in my opinion, and I think there's either an agenda or it's just a really bad false ban on their behalf. So I've always said that I think the percentage of cheaters within the community is very, very high. Now you could go on vanillas and you'll probably have a predominant legit player base on vanillas now, as cheaters go towards where PvP is, and PvP is in the community servers. So I'm obviously used to seeing a lot of cheaters on community servers because I own one myself. But my point is that because if you're going to be banning players on cheating devices and you can detect them, you're going to be banning a lot of players that are not going to be able to come back to the game. I know a lot of them are not going to even try and do the bypass methods where you can just get a new console or try and get a new IP somehow. That's going to be a lot of effort just to play Rust console, which in turn loses quite a bit of revenue when it comes to buying skins and anything else of that nature towards Double 11. So they're going to be losing a lot of money. However, maybe in the long run they can recuperate those legit players that they lost because of the cheating problem. And whilst we can say it's like a small problem or a big problem, it's always been one for years on end now when it comes to this game, especially on TikTok and content creators here and there. You can see them just playing on these devices, and from my opinion, from my perspective anyway, it makes the content not as good to watch if someone's on a cheating device, and it just doesn't make a good reputation for Rust when it comes to new players looking to buy and invest into the game. I guess one question I could ask Pedro is, all the permanent bans that they've given out thus far, Are they going to have another chance? Because I would quite like that chance, even though I don't even think, you know, I was worthy of getting banned in the first place. But there we go. So we've had some confirmation that Double 11 have talked internally about zip lines. So yes, it may well be a thing. Whether or not they're talking about the possibilities, pros and cons of how to, you know, put it into the game, or if it's worth putting into the game at this moment in time. We've also had more confirmation on them talking about backpacks, them acknowledging how popular it is within the community, and the fact that they actually talked about backpacks when it first released on PC, even when I didn't see many people talking about that element coming to the game in the first place. So it's good to see that, you know, there's still ongoing conversations about these things that we want to see within the game. Hopefully this has answered some questions for you guys. So obviously we're in the wait with backpacks, and considering backpacks was on the top 3 list of priorities that Double 11, you know, have got on the top of their list, I think it'll be coming very soon. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here. If you do play community servers, join up mine. It is CNQR Warfare 3x 4 clans. So if you're solo, expect to get raided by probably a 15-man if you steal one kit. As always, thank you so much for the recent support. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.